Hi, I'm Stacey from Lee and Stacey Do Finance, and today I am closing out our June 2020 budget. We are now officially in July. We're a couple days in, so it is time to close everything out, and I wanted to share what our budget looked like with you. So let's get started. The first line item we have in our budget is our Amazon card. It's the only credit card we normally use. We had $42.80 that came back to us as rewards points. So that was removed from that and put back into our budget. Between the purchases that we made on the Amazon card and the payments that we made during the month of June, we came out to owing $152.28. And of that, not all of it has cleared through yet. Once it does, it will equal out to that $152.28. So for now, we have $131.84 that has been pulled from other categories to pay for the things that have cleared. We have part of a video game pre-order. Some of it went on a Amazon gift card. The rest went to the Amazon credit card. So there's a little bit from that. And then we ordered pizza takeout last night for dinner, and that hasn't cleared yet. So that's why there's a discrepancy between those dollar amounts. We pay off our credit card every month, so that will be paid off shortly. And I've already made some payments for the month, going through and getting that towards zero. During the month of June, we decided that we wanted to stop funding our Roth IRAs and focus our energy on paying off our car loans. So we did take a little over $1,000 that we had set aside to put into our Roth IRAs, and we moved some of that to the car payment, which is a couple lines down, so we'll get there in a few minutes. Hopefully not that long, but we'll see. We did end up getting $7.81 as interest earned on our bank accounts, and that normally just automatically goes to investments. I didn't think it was worth transferring out of there. Once the total gets a little bit higher, maybe I'll go through and do that, but it didn't seem worth it, so I just left that there for now. We haven't been funding our emergency fund. It's set at $5,000, which feels comfortable enough for us where we are right now. So that is just left alone. Our mortgage payment is $530 a month, and you can see that actually went out of the budget. So there's nothing remaining at the end of the month for that. Cell phone is my bill. For my cell phone, it's $48.45. I made that checkout. Lee's cell phone is paid through work, so that comes out of his paycheck automatically, so we don't actually have to pay that bill. It's taken care of for us. So the car payment is $2,856.34 this month, which was an awesome amount of progress on paying down the loans. If you watched our first video, you know that we took out 2 car loans within a month of each other through just the way life works out sometimes. So we have to pay $755 a month to meet the minimum payments for those. So we made an extra $2,100 in payments for the month. So I'm happy with the progress there. The utility bill, I try to fund this up to, I think, $400. Yep, $400 is my goal every month. So I funded up to that amount. So it's basically whatever I spent the previous month I have to fund in the next month. So we had spent $393.20 in May, so that's what I funded in to get us back to $400. In June, we only spent $288.58. So for July, I will need to fund the $288.58 again, and that'll get us back up to $400 for that goal. We also do a funding goal up to $600 for groceries. So In May, we had spent $428.73, so that's what I funded for June. We ended up spending $433.13, which leaves us with $166.87 that'll carry over. So in July, it'll be funded at $433.13. Toiletries and consumables is another category that I budget up to a certain amount. We go up to $150. It's usually quite a bit less than that, but when I looked back at our history, that was about the highest month we had ever had for that category. So I figure if we have that much available, we should never really go over that budget. So it's a lot of safety net in some of these categories. Transportation, I didn't budget anything for because we didn't spend anything in May, and we already had it funded up to the $180, which is our max. We normally spend about $90 when we are not working from home. So that's definitely been saving us some money. So it's just less that we have to fund each month at this point. But we like to keep that at around $180. So we spent $28.49 in the month of June. All right, so next we have our irregular expenses. These are expenses that don't necessarily get paid out monthly, but we want to make sure we have them. I think a lot of people would consider all of these sinking funds, most likely, because you just keep adding money to it, and then either on a certain schedule or whenever it's needed, you would take money from here. I suppose our emergency fund would belong here too, but because I do it as a savings goal, it's in its own separate category. So we fund $190 a month for car insurance for full coverage for both of our cars, and that is paid twice a year. Looks like, I think it's normally about $600 that we pay, so I'm guessing it'll come out in July or August for that. Car registration is $30 a month, and that also covers the registration, license plates for our cars when we have to renew those, and our driver's licenses every 4 years. Next, we have RI visits, which is visits to my family in Rhode Island. We normally go out there once every 2 years, so we save $50 every month, and that usually covers most of the cost of actually traveling to actually drive out there or fly out there and get a hotel for the time that we are there. In the last video, we talked about having only one auto category for repair, replacement, everything that was needed, which didn't really work out for us because we ended up continuing to put money into a car that was just going through and needing repairs all the time, which left us with no money to actually replace the vehicle. So we have added in 2 categories. So now we have auto repair and maintenance and also auto replacement. So because we will still need oil changes and replacement tires and windshield wipers and general repair and maintenance type of things, we are funding that currently at $20 a month. We do have full warranty coverage on both of the vehicles, so it's just going to be the things that wear out that would need to be replaced that wouldn't be considered covered under the warranty. So we might need to bump that up in the future, but for now it seems to be adequate and we at least have some money going in there. Auto replacement isn't going to be funded until we get lower in our car payments, or they're completely gone, hopefully. The warranty on both of our cars is a 10-year warranty. We've had both of the cars about 1.5 years now, so we still have quite a few years before we should have to be concerned with replacing the vehicles. So the sooner we pay off the car loans, the sooner we can start bumping this up, and then we'll be all set for when we do need to replace the vehicles. Next, we have home repair and maintenance. This is funded at 1% of the value of the house when we purchased it. So we feel like that should be adequate. Sometimes we spend a lot of money on this. We have some other categories that we can pull through. Usually it's not home repair and maintenance type of things. It's adding things or making them the way we want them and not actually the repair and maintenance. The house is in decent condition for its age, so we don't really need a lot of money in this category, but we want to always make sure we have it available so that way 15 years from now when we need to replace the roof, we'll have some money for it. The miscellaneous purchases category is kind of our catch-all for anything that doesn't fit into other categories. I aim to budget up to $200 to spend each month. We ended up spending $69.68, so we're definitely within that range. And if you notice, this category is yellow instead of green like the rest of them. And that's because it says that I need to budget $37.09 more to fund up to that $200 monthly goal. And I had originally done that, but then we decided that we needed to buy something for this channel. So we created a category further down for Lee and Stacey Do Things for this channel and our crafts channel. And it was $37.09 for that purchase. So that's where that money came from, because it's kind of a miscellaneous purchase and we just didn't have a budget category for that at the beginning of the month. Next, we have subscriptions, and that is budgeted at $16 a month, and I think we have 3 subscriptions that we currently pay for each year, so those kind of come out at different times during the year, and that seems to be enough money to cover those. Hi, Jitters. Come here. Hi. Do you want to be part of the channel? Say hello. Say hi. Say this next line item's for me. So the animals category, which is for Callie, is budgeted at $25 a month. She is normally quite a bit less expensive than that. We spent $18.01 on her this month, so we will budget another $25 in July for her, because we just keep adding money to that. So that way there's always enough when we have unexpected vet bills or anything else that comes up for her. Yeah, it's all about you. It's all about you, Kit Kat. I guess Callie's sticking around. The health category we do not budget for. That is funded through Lee's paycheck. It goes to our health savings account. So we had some bills come in that we paid for some doctor's visits, and we also had money come in through each of his paychecks. So it came out to $333.44 that we spent. So we just kind of leave that alone, and as we spend money on doctor's visits and things like that, it just comes out of that amount. We do put extra money into the health savings account, so we normally have more than enough to cover our full deductible for the year in there. So it's just growing slowly as time goes on. You getting down? Yeah, you're done with me? Okay. Alright, so next up we have our wants category, which is more of the fun stuff. Lee and I both get $50 budgeted each month to use on whatever we want to use. Lee spent $55.04 and had $9.65 remaining. So that means he had some extra money left over from the previous month for him to not be in the negative with that. I spent $45.98 and was left with $42.02. So I also had money that had carried over from the previous month. School is a category for me. I'm finishing up my first year of my return to college to work on my second bachelor's degree. So I currently have that funded at $100 a month, which based on the first year has been enough for textbooks, supplies, everything I needed. Because Lee works at a university, he gets tuition credits, so that is how I'm paying for school aside from that. Otherwise, it would be a lot more expensive. So this is just supplies and things like that So come August, early September, I'll be spending some of that money. Dining, we have budgeted at $150. A lot of times we spend more than that. We are trying to rein ourselves in though, and we were able to stick within that budget. We spent $134.35, which left us with $18.58 at the end of the month. So I feel like we did excellent in that category. The next couple of categories we do not regularly budget for, but we have wish list items that will end up going into some of these categories. So they're there for us to put things into so that we can report on them in the future, but they don't actually have just a general amount of money going to them each month. So those categories are hobbies, fitness, and entertainment. We also have a clothing budget. We set $600 that can be spent. And then as we spend that money, we will re-budget to get back up to $600. We don't purchase clothing and shoes and things like that very often. But when we do, we normally go out and buy everything we need for a season or potentially a year. So some months we'll spend $500 on like 4 or 5 pairs of shoes together, and then we're good for a year or two with those shoes. So while we're not spending in this category often, usually when we do make a purchase, it's a pretty big one. So this kind of gives us the ability to deal with that on whatever schedule we end up needing to buy things. For gifts, we had discussions with both of our families to not do gifts for the adults because it just felt like we were transferring the same $20, $25 to each other over and over again, and it didn't seem worthwhile. So our budget is quite low for this, and we budget for our niece and nephew for them to have birthday and Christmas presents and anything else that might come up. If I have a cousin who's having a child or someone, a friend or family member who's getting married, we can get them a small gift with this budget as well. And then we always have the discretion to use our personal funds if we want to get something for someone that's outside of this budget. So Lee and Stacey Do Things, again, is that new category for this channel. We spent the $37.09, and we did have some discussions that we'll go into in our July budget so that we do have money funded for the channels in the future. Stuff I forgot to budget for is a category that we don't really use. I haven't used it since the first couple of months that we were using YNAB, probably because we added the miscellaneous purchases category, and they're kind of the same thing. So at some point I should probably go through and take whatever was in here and move it to that miscellaneous purchases category, and then delete that so that way the reporting shows just one category for those random purchases. Alright, so now we get to the wish list, and we have a lot of things on our wish list, things that we want to purchase. We've found that by having the wish list, we end up not overspending in miscellaneous purchases categories or our personal categories as much, because we can actually prioritize what we really want and make sure it's worth it, and we're purchasing things in the right order based on how we feel about something as far as importance. For the past 2 years or so, we have been planning on remodeling our kitchen, and I've been able to set aside a lot of money for it, and we're pretty much ready to go. And then we decide to purchase a bunch of stuff, and then suddenly we don't have the budget for it anymore, and then Lee gets the motivation or the vacation time to actually work on it, and then we don't have the money. And it just hasn't worked out for us. So that's the big reason we created our wish list. and that has helped because we do have our kitchen remodel on here, so you'll probably see a lot of categories here that are for the kitchen remodel, and they are kind of split up in the process based on what we think we can get done in a certain period of time. So Lee is actually currently on vacation, and he is planning on fixing up a couple of the walls. One used to have a big window. We'll see if we have a picture that we can put into the image. The window has been taken out, and the other side of the wall was redone already, but the inside of the kitchen was just open framing. So he is planning on ripping off the rest of the lath and plaster, or whatever it is that the wall is actually made of, and re-insulating that wall, running some outlets to it because we're going to end up putting some cabinets along that wall, and then putting up drywall. So based on what he's expecting to get done while he's on his vacation and what we already have, we budgeted for some insulation that we know we'll need. And I don't think there was anything else that he needed at this point in time, because he already has some of the drywall, which is why it's yellow. You can see that it's been partially funded. And the electrical items that he will need, some wiring and outlets and things like that, have already been purchased. So he already has some of those that we purchased in previous months, which is why there's no budget or activity for the month in those categories. But we do have the $230. It was not spent yet because we haven't gone out to purchase it. We'll probably be doing that in the next couple of days, but we have the money for that purchase. And with our wish list, we put the name of what we want, the approximate dollar amount that it will cost, and if there's specific dates, like Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be $52.94 based on our estimates, including tax, and that is supposed to be released on November 19th based on the last time we checked, so we have that date there. Other things we don't have specific dates for, so then it's just the item and the cost, and in this case, for the tin snips, we have the location that we plan on purchasing that from. So living room curtains is something we've discussed, but we haven't figured out what the cost is yet, so it's at the top of the list because we know next time we go through and do our budget review, which we do on Saturdays, we'll be putting in the details for that. But underneath that, we have items with check marks are the things that we actually funded for the month. So we got quite a few things on our list. Most of them were relatively low price, and some of them were really helpful, like the base for the table saw so it can be moved around to make it easier to actually do things in the workshop. And we needed to upgrade one of the hard drives that we had to a solid state drive. And then other things are fun, like a cat backpack carrier, because it's super cute to take the cat for a walk in a little backpack. So we had to get it. We thought it was worth it just to at least try it out. The cat seemed okay with it, all things considered, so we'll be using that again in the future. So we've got a little bit of everything on here. Now that June is over, I am going to close out the budget, and that's going to have me move the transactions from the wish list into their proper categories, or what seems like their proper category. So the funding will increase for certain categories, and then the transaction will actually be transferred to that. So in the example of the cat backpack carrier, that was $40.27. So we are going to go into that transaction. And that is going to move from the wish list to the animals category. So we'll save that, go back to the budget, and then we are going to remove that $40.27. So I'll just zero that out. Our to be budgeted increased to $40.27. So I will add that to the $25 that we currently have. And that leaves us with $6.99, which should be what we had previously for the category. So I will end up doing that for everything here that we actually budgeted for and purchased. So the kitchen remodel insulation will continue to be there for July until we spend that money. But everything else will be closed out for when I do the July budget. So that is our June budget in YNAB.